All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It is 2:01 and there are 10 people on this call. So first of all, for those of you that were early, I just showed you my gold sticker that I pulled out and gave just for you guys for being early. Very proud of you. So for many of you, this is your first monthly planning party because you've just joined us for the next quarter, which is super exciting. Guys, there's over 30 of us in Q3 doing this planning thing together. So I am super excited. So technology-wise today, all of our planning parties happen on Zoom. Today what we'll do is there will be a little bit of audio when I get everyone to we'll do a quick lightning round of introductions. Aside from that, use the chat as much as you want. Talk to each other in the chat, encourage each other. It'll be just like the quarterly planning party where I ask you a question and then you can give feedback. The main reason that we'll go jump back to video or audio or anything would be if you guys have a question and you have the ability to ask it via audio and video, then we'll totally do that. Okay, let me make sure. All right, if you are watching the replay and you have not watched the welcome video that came with this reminder email, pause this video and go watch that first, especially if it's your first planning party. If you're live and you haven't watched it, that's okay, but maybe go back and watch it later, just because that will give you a lot more context. I kind of have to skip the foundation of why planning is important and just jump into the planning piece. So if you've not watched that yet, I'd recommend that you do that. So you should have a whole slew of things with you right now. One, you should not have any tabs open other than your task management software. So if you have your internet open and you've got like 10 or 15 tabs and you're doing other things, just minimize those, please and thank you. The other thing that you might want to have with you is your monthly planning worksheet. It's a little bit different than the quarterly one. The framework is the same, so if you just want to work off the quarterly one, you totally can. The other thing you might want is a hard copy of your calendar. This is our family calendar that hangs in the kitchen. If you use Power Sheets, have those handy. I also recommend a notepad. This is literally some Remax lady that we get like 4 notepads of hers every year, and so I just use it because I'm like, it's free paper. Why would I buy a notepad if I can just use... Anyway. So if you're wondering who the random lady is on my notepad that I'm using today. So have a notepad because you're going to want to write notes of like things you're following up on. And then the other thing that you're also going to want to have with you is somewhere that you're going to do your planning. Some people like to do that hard copy, pen and paper. Some people like to do that in their task management software. I use Trello. Some people use Asana. It doesn't matter what you use. It doesn't matter if you use a Word doc or a Google Doc. As long as you have a place where you're going to do and build out all of your plans. Sound good? All right, so let's get started. First of all, for those of you live, thank you for showing up and planning live together. It's always lots and lots of fun. And thank you for watching the replay if that is what you are doing today. So one of the reasons why the planning party is such a key cornerstone in the quarterly planning circle is because it's all about helping us like get farther and farther ahead. Okay. And so by showing up on the call, you will see a big difference. All right. So, and all the new faces. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to do a quick review of the past month, look at our vision and areas for 2018, which is always easier when it's the first month of a new quarter because we just did our quarterly plan. So we just reviewed them all. So I don't give you quite as much time to sort through that stuff because you should have that already. And then your priorities, we're going to block previous commitments in your schedule. We're going to go through, build out our project for the month of July. We do things a little bit different on a monthly planning party because it's a shorter period that we're planning. But let's start with some quick introductions. So I am setting a timer. You guys get 30 seconds, okay? 30 seconds, literally. It's gonna be lightning rounds. This is what you're going to say, or if you don't have audio, type it in the chat and I will read it out for you. I want you to say your name and what your focus for today's planning party is. So is it business? Is it personal? And if you know, be more specific. For instance, I'm planning for my business, so for me in July, but I'm also planning my Insta Summit. Ooh, which I'm not telling you any more about right now. So that would be an example, because that's like my big project for July, other than content. That's like the one big thing that I need to plan. So you can say that, just not all of those extra words. Hi, my name's Catherine. I'm planning for my business this month. My biggest project is, if you know what it is. If you don't know what it is, that's fine. You're going to figure it out on the call. And then I want you to pick either your biggest planning win of the last month. So what is something that worked for you? Or pick your biggest planning challenge. Okay, so pick one or the other to share. And you've got 30 seconds, and I'm literally going to set a timer. I'm just working on the timer thing right now. One moment. So you've got 30 seconds to do your thing. And remember, if you don't have audio, totally fine. Just type the answers in the chat and I will read them. Okay. So I'm going to make our alumni who've been doing this for a long time go first. Haley, you're up. So quick introduction round. This is what we're doing. Actually, let me type this in the chat. So you're saying your name, the focus of the planning party, and then you're also sharing biggest win or challenge of June. And it's your biggest planning win or challenge. Let me specify that. Okay, so those are the three things you're saying. You've got 30 seconds. We'll go through everyone that has video first, and then for the people that don't have audio or video, just drop it in the chat and I'll read it. Okay, are we ready for our lightning round introductions? Haley, we're gonna go, this is the order. It's gonna go Haley, Megan, Kate are the first three in that order. So you guys be ready, and then we'll do everybody else. Okay, Haley, go.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Haley. I oversee an arts academy, so my focus for this month will be business. The project we're working on right now is fall programming content, so that's what I'm focusing on today. And biggest planning win is I use Power Sheets, and I loved color coordinating this past month. So it was easy to look and see my red and my blue, so I knew which one I needed to focus on to finish my June plan. And time.
Literally. That was sweet. That's exactly how it's going to go. All right. Ready, Megan? Your turn.
I'm Megan. This month I am planning for my career, like business career type thing. I'm in the midst of a transition. So my biggest challenge in June has been dealing with having to build entirely my own structure because I don't have an externally imposed schedule or timeline.
Oh, and you had 5 seconds to spare. Kate.
I'm Kate. I'm planning for business for July. I'm reviving kind of my blog content stuff. And the biggest win for me in June was carving out time each week to get out and to go to events and to meet people and to actually get out of my house. And that felt really, really good. Yay.
Nice. You had 9 seconds left. I just used it up. Okay, so this is the order that we're going to go in for the rest of you. So Crystal, we'll do Crystal and Andrea. You guys go back to back. And then Tamara, and then Amber. Those are the next three, so you guys are ready to go. Go, Crystal.
All right, I'm ready. My name is Crystal, and I'm actually going to be focusing on personal this month. My baby is turning 13, so I'm going to plan something special for her. I haven't decided party or not. And my win for June was creating a calendar where I could mark things after if I hadn't planned them specifically, and I could kind of indicate if it was personal or my girls or my husband, which was exciting. So
awesome. I love it. Okay, Tamara, go.
Hi, my name is Tamara, and I'm doing something personal. You said tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm doing something personal, well, charity work. I'm planning a trip to Africa. So my biggest challenge was for June was I didn't know what direction I was going in. So now I have a direction. And so the biggest challenge will just be planning all the things I need to do when I get there.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Andrea, would you like to go? I'm sorry. I can't see you in the video screen and I skipped you. You're in the back there. Okay, go.
I'm good. I'm Andrea, and I was chewing something, so I stayed off screen. That's why you didn't see me. What am I? This is about systems, right? I had to go out to the office. I think this month will be business more than personal. Although I'm home with the kids for the summer, so you never know. I might try to do both. And I had a challenge in June because I had a lot of appointments and things planned, which meant I struggled getting on any of the calls and things like that. So I did have a small win in that one of the goals I had put in place to start looking for recipes for my family. I did get through some of that, so it's not maybe
awesome.
as far as I'd hoped, but I did get a little gain there.
But you made more progress than if that had not been a goal and something you worked on in June, right?
Really
And
good.
remember, that is the point. The point is we're making more progress than if we didn't plan, right? And our motto, Laura Casey, progress, not perfection. All right, let's go. We're going to do Amber. You'll be next, and then Mary and Tiana. And if you don't have audio, I think it was just Cindy and Dan. If you guys want to throw that in the chat, and then I can read that for you. Okay, go, Amber. Oh, sorry, you're muted. Let me unmute you. Done. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Amber. I'm a photographer, and I'm going to be focusing on business. So I am working with a designer and strategist to launch my refreshed website. So I talked about this on the free monthly kind of thing, but I'm kind of extending that. And I think my biggest challenge is just trying to manage that alongside all of my regular everyday to-day like work with clients. So yeah, we'll leave it at that because I heard the alarm go off.
That's all right. That's awesome. Okay, Mary.
Sorry, unmuting. I'm Mary. I'm focusing on business this month. I'm trying to kind of add a bit of structure and flesh out my client processes and automation because I have no childcare in August for 2 kids. So I want to kind of get sorted before then. And my biggest planning challenge for June, again, working around the baby and kind of trying to manage workload with him. So.
I hear you. All right, Tiana.
Hi, I'm Tiana. I am a photographer as well. My focus is personal. Both my husband and I are full-time photographers, and we work from home, and we have kids 2 and 4. They're at home with us, and we are really, I'm a workaholic. I just know I am. So that's going to be the focus. And the biggest challenge of June, it was just busy season, and I just feel like my kids thought that my face was a computer, and I don't want that anymore. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right, let me read. Cindy says, focus of the planning party is for business, which officially starts July 1st. Awesome. Focus for July is to put procedures in place to be organized. And biggest challenge in June was overcoming procrastination. And Dan, business, biggest challenge is choosing what should be top priority. Yes. I think a lot of us can acknowledge that is a really, really tricky thing. Okay, so I'm just going to pin the video so that way for the recording that people are mainly seeing my screen for the planning party as we continue. So we are going to start with reflection, which is how we started the quarterly planning party as well. So if you've got your worksheet with you, or if you've just saved it and you want to reference these questions, that's what we're going to start with. So I'm going to give you about 4 minutes to answer as many of these questions. And here's the thing. I'm giving you a lot of questions, but these, you don't have to feel like you need to answer them all. Okay, you're to take the time to answer the ones that are the fit for you right now. So scan through them and go, oh, I need to think about that. Okay, if there's things that are popping up for you. So these are the questions to ask and answer, any or all. What am I grateful for? What were some highlights? What did I learn about myself, others, my family? Were there any major milestones? And what did I do to celebrate or record them? What do I need to adjust, stop, start? what part of the planning process went well, which some of you answered, and what part of the planning process was challenging. The reason why we always start with this reflection is so that we can learn from what just happened, rather than so often our pace of life is like so fast that we never pause to look back. And I just think it's really important for us to learn. So just like on the quarterly planning party, I am going to set a timer for 4 minutes and let's answer some questions. Feel free, by the way, a lot of people listen to music during planning parties. So whenever I have the timer on, if you've got something you want to listen to while you do this, feel free to do that. As long as you can hear me when I come back, then we're good. All right, let's go. All right. So I hope that you were able to take a few minutes and answer at least a couple of those questions. I actually feel like I was like, oh, these are easy to answer this month. Sometimes they're not, and sometimes they are. So I would love for you to pop an answer in to any of the questions. Maybe it was something that you're really proud of. Maybe it's something that you were like, oh dear, ouch, that hurt as I looked at that. Or maybe it was like a really cool aha moment, like you didn't realize something. And so now that you've spent that time doing it, you're like, oh, I learned something. So feel free to pop something in the chat, because I think it's always great when we can share with other people like a win or something like that, because it also helps us think outside the box and be like, oh, they considered that a win. Why don't I consider that a win? Like maybe I should have a little more grace for myself or something like that. What I do want to share, which I am going to consider a highlight for Brittany. Brittany Brown is not on the call right now, but she posted in the Facebook group just like right before the call. She and her husband are driving, so she can't be on. She's going to catch the replay. And for those of you that are just joining us for the next quarter, the month of June, our topic has been boundaries. And so we've been talking about this. It's been a big item of discussion. And so I want to share what she posted in the Facebook group because it was so, so good. She said, major win today. I stepped down from a volunteer position that does not fit in our family schedule for the remainder of the year. When I spoke to the leader of the group and explained why this isn't a good fit right now, she broke down crying and said, I'm so proud of you. Please stay connected so you can share with us and we can learn from you. What you're doing is so brave, and I know there are others who need to watch you do this so that they can learn how to take better care of themselves. And Brittany was like, whoa. She's like, I was literally sweating buckets during the start of the call, but it turned out to be such an amazing, like, peaceful and total blessing. So anyway, and I was just like, I wish more leaders had that type of a response when it was like, hey, I need to step down or step out of this thing. Like, you do that. You go take care of yourself. And I want you to stay in touch so that other people learn how to do that too. I was just like, that is so good. Anyway, all right. So yeah, Sydney said that's awesome. Megan, applause. Yeah, Haley, amazing. It's so encouraging, isn't it? Because so many times we see the tough side of boundaries and like having to set boundaries and feel like it's going to maybe ruin a relationship or cause strife or conflict. So anyway, I just think that's incredible. And if Brittany was on the call, that would have been what she'd typed in the chat to share as her highlight for the month. So does anyone have an answer or reflection question that they would like to share? Ooh, Crystal, I learned that my boundaries can be a little fierce. I need to be more vulnerable. That is powerful and can definitely, yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, so let's head on then to the next section. So if you are on the worksheet, we're moving to page 2, which is priorities. So if you've got your notes from the quarterly planning party, wherever you kept those, pull those out. I'm just going to read a couple more comments while you guys are getting ready. Cindy, my highlight was resigning from a job that I have for over 10 years in order to go into business for myself. In June, that is a big step. I remember the day I walked out of my job. And it's not that that is better than having a job. Let's be clear. A lot of us are entrepreneurs, but some of you have amazing careers and you love your jobs. And so I think that is great. Oh, Amber, celebrating signing up for this course. Woo! We're celebrating with you. Also working with a biz strategist so I can create more space in my business to work on it, not just in it. Been overwhelmed by client work. I learned that I really need more downtime and creative time to really best serve my clients. Yes, that is so awesome. The one thing that I will share about what I learned about myself again, like relearned, is I was getting kind of overwhelmed and just a little bit cranky and like angsty and stuff. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And so Joseph's like, what would you like to do on Saturday morning? And I'm like, well, I can't decide if I want to like stay in bed, sleep in, and just like read and have like my me time, or if I want to like get all my food prep done and clean my kitchen and like whatever. And he's like, you need to sleep in. So on Saturday morning, I'll have the monitor. I'll go get Em when she wakes up and whatever. And guys, I stayed in bed for like, I slept-ish till like 8:30 and then whatever. And it just was like, I am such a high introvert. And I do not have when you have kids, you just never have time by yourself unless you're really purposeful about it. And so my big learning in June is like, I need time by myself. Like if I'm going to be happy and like show up as a better wife, as a better mom, like I need time by myself. So that was my big learning. Anyway, just throwing that in. Oh, that's exciting. A highlight, a tenant or buyer bought their home yesterday. That's always exciting. So good. All right, so let's jump to priorities. So this should be pretty quick if you've already done the quarterly planning party, but rewrite down. Even if you've got your notes somewhere else, I want you to rewrite wherever you're keeping these notes. What is your vision for the year? What is your word for the year? And then what are your goals and priorities for the year? Rewrite them down. I'm only going to give you like 2 minutes. Actually, not even. I'm going to give you 1 because you should already have this. And then we will continue. All right. So for those of you with video, give me a thumbs up if you've re-looked at your vision for the year. Priorities. I see a few. Okay. All right. Good. So let's move on to the next. Now, it is always hard to prioritize. Always hard. But now what we're going to do is I want you to get to your top 3 priorities for the month. So what you've already probably done is you've got what your priorities are for 2018. And on the quarterly planning party, what you did is you said, okay, even though like for me, I'm just going to use my numbers. I have like 8 kind of main areas of my life that I'm wanting to move forward in a year. That's a lot. I can't focus on all of them every month. But then in the quarter, I said, okay, for the quarter, these are like the 3 that I want to move forward, or maybe 4. And now in the month, I'm saying, okay, these are the most important. So for me in July, a big one is family, because June, we just didn't have the chance to do a lot. So that's going to be one of my 3 for various reasons. Okay, so I want you to look at what you've got for the already set aside for the quarter with what your goals and stuff are. And I want you to pick only 3 that you're going to move forward for the month. Okay. So those are some really great 3. Oh, Mary said nailing down pricing and processes, creating space for family and myself, and then products up on website. Love it. Yeah. Congrats on the new job, Kate. I am excited. Last I heard is you were thinking about it. So that's so fun. Okay. So that is why we only pick a couple things. So now the next step, which is the hardest of them all, you got down to 3. Now you have to pick 1. Now, here's the thing though. You don't have to just pick 1. This is where I want to bring up the difference between like a project and things that are maintenance. Okay. So if you have a family, right? There's quite a few of us here that have kids. So you could choose not to have family as like the one thing you have to move forward, but consider family like a maintenance task. You have kids, you have to keep them alive. So as part of the keeping your children alive, include more intentional time. So when we get to like the scheduling part, think about where you're going to intentionally put those buckets of family time, but maybe don't make it the one thing that you really plan out unless it needs to be the most important thing. Okay. If you're like, you know what, if this doesn't get done with my business, I'm okay with that. my family needs me, then make that your first thing. Make that your priority. Okay. So you kind of have to feel that out, but I want you to pick the one top priority that you're going to plan out. So if on the quarterly plan, you chose something, you could choose two things. You could choose the same thing you planned for on your quarterly party and like do it even more detailed and block it into exactly how you're going to make it happen this month to meet that goal, right? Because if it's a quarterly plan or a quarterly goal, it's over 3 months. So you could take it and make it work for this month, or you could pick a different one than what you picked on the quarterly planning party and plan out a second thing. It's up to you. But once you know the one major thing that you're going to plan for the rest of this call, throw it in the chat. Okay, so Kate is planning out how she's going to start her newsletter and do that. Haley is doing program schedule. Ooh, Tamara asks a really good question. If your goal includes the work of other people's input, how do you time block that? Well, this is what you have to do, and we'll get into this more in like the project planning, but what you need to do is be able to look at all your stuff and leave room for getting stuff back from people. So if you know that you need the project at like the end of B by a certain date in like 2 weeks, then you need to give people the assignment earlier, give them a window of time to complete it, and always leave buffer in case they're late and for you to do your part so that you can get it done by that time. So you have to build that into your schedule. So if you're like, oh, I could do that in 1 week, but if you're waiting for responses from people, I would always 2x it. And it depends on the project and what kinds of input you're looking for from other people. Marie, nailing down prices and processes. Sweet. Crystal, birthday party. Guys, I have a birthday party in 48 hours. Okay, sorry. Just having a moment. It's a big one. It's the first birthday party I'm ever having for one of my children. I feel like this is a monumental occasion. Mary, which means I can outsource my third one to my VA. Aha! See, this is where taking the time to figure this out gets smart because, oh, if I figure out my process and then I could do this, then I can pass this off to someone and they can do it during the month of August when I have no childcare. Getting smart. I love it. Sign a new investor. Cindy, set up workspace and calendar. Yep, love it. Tiana, be present in the time that I spend with family and have set work hours that I actually stick to and don't let interfere with family time. And so honestly, you could, for the sake of this, for July, go day by day and look and time block and create those sections and say family time, work time, and be really clear about it. We do go chronologically through the calendar later on. Haley says, great question. My task involves working with others and waiting for responses, so I needed that answer as well. It is a monumental occasion. Thanks, Crystal. I feel like the last few days I've been starting to get like a little like, oh my gosh, is this happening? My daughter's turning 1, by the way, on Sunday, in case any of you are like wondering why I'm just having a moment. It's like sinking in. It's like, oh my gosh, it's birthdays. Client systems, Amber. Yeah, and here's the thing. We have to always look at how things will work in order. So I love actually, Amber, that you got to that rather than your website, because with a wedding, if your systems are working really well, then you can spend time on your website. But if it's not done before your wedding, then it's not the end of the road or like as big of a deal. Cindy said setting work hours is something I think can be difficult when working from home. It can be really hard. Get the charity registered. Nice. Oh my gosh, there's so many comments. I just listened to a podcast about this today. Ooh, about work hours. Yeah, share the link, Mary, if you can, to the podcast in the chat, or like who it was or episode, but if you've got a direct link, that would be awesome. And that's the one thing that we talked a lot about boundaries in the month of June, is because it can be so hard to set those boundaries, but it's so important because it affects everyone that is around us. And we are much healthier for it. So like I've even been finding, like I have work days and I do have childcare days. And what I've been finding is in the month of June, I've basically worked every single nap. So I've been feeling really like off because I've been putting so much stuff and I feel like my house, like I'm just not caught up. So for me, a boundary is on the days I'm not working, I'm only allowed to work one nap. Like that's what I'm limiting myself to. And the other nap must be focused on personal or home. And so just there's different ways to look at it and find it. Okay, so we have our one priority. So now we get to the planning piece. So there's different ways to look at this and a combination, which we talked about on the planning party. So there's the project plan, or there's the daily habits or weekly actions. Okay, so the project plan is on this first page. If you turn it over, then there's a section for daily and weekly actions. So what you need to think about is with that top priority, which of those approaches is going to be the best for you. If you think daily habit, then probably weekly action is going to fit in there as well. Those are going to be bundled. And sometimes you're going to have a project plan built out, but having a daily habit is what's going to keep you on track. So maybe I'm trying to think of, like some of you said processes and systems. Maybe one of your daily habits that you build is every day you're working, you're going to build out one system. And you actually block the first hour of your day every day that you're working, and a daily habit becomes you start your morning by creating one system. That could be an example of how, even though you've got a project plan for the different areas and how you're going to work through it in the month of July, that could be how you make it a daily habit so that it stays front and center. And then you actually put that in your calendar. And we'll get to that farther along. So does that make sense? The three different approaches. So a project plan, now a project plan is you decide the direction. What is the end goal? So for some of you, there's actually quite a few of you with systems and processes, which makes sense since our month is about systems. And that's what we're focusing on and what our training is. So the end goal, you could say, I want to have the top 15 systems for my business or that are the most commonly used. I want them all documented in an operations manual. Like that could be what your end goal is. Like pick a number or something like that. Or you could say, I want all the systems that a VA would use, right? So Mary might say, you know what, for July, I'm going to start with doing all the systems that my VA would need to do something. So that's kind of deciding the end, right? So we decide the end, then we identify the current constraints. So what are the challenges that we're going to have with this? What does this look like? Okay, so childcare for some of us is always a major constraint. For some of you, it might be the amount of clients that you have booked in already. I know that like Crystal in a corporate environment, you know, you guys have all these clients. So if you want to work on any systems, like one of your major constraints is the fact that like you have a certain amount of hours, but somebody else is telling you what to do. So how do you figure that out? Then the third one is define the key phases, right? So we block out those major milestones of what the project is, and then we get really detailed with it. So, but for some of you, I'm trying to think of what, I think for most of you, a full project plan is what's going to be the best, including like birthday party, things like that. Yeah, I think so. So regardless of whatever approach, if you have questions, let me know, okay, in the chat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some time to work out this plan. So Mary said, I think mine is going to be a weekly action or daily, totally. And Mary, yeah, for sure. Find the podcast, and next week when you find it, you can add it to the Facebook group. That'd be great. So Tiana, I'm not sure how that will look for a personal goal, like with work-life balance. Okay, so let's give this example. One of the ways you could do this for personal, and this would work for relationships, like if there's a dating relationship or a marriage or family, kids, whatever it looks like. I don't always wouldn't necessarily for like end goal say we want to do this and this or like be super specific about it. But what my goal for the year is with family is create a fun and relaxed atmosphere and plan quality time together. So that's how I phrase it. So that's my goal for the year, is to create a fun and relaxed atmosphere. So when we're together, I don't want it to all be like intense or whatever. Like I want it to be fun. So, but one of the things that you could decide is that you're going to have like a half day every week or a full day every week where you do something as a family. So that could be one of your end goals, is like a half day family day every week. And then maybe what it is as a daily habit. So you might be better served by doing the daily habit and weekly action. And a daily habit could be maybe, 30-minute dinner time and at least 30 minutes where you're all together as a family. And maybe another weekly action is like you and your husband each take your kids out for like a date every week and you swap kids. So it's like in the month of July, you'll take each of your kids out for 2 dates. And your husband does the same thing, or even just one, right? So like you could think of different things like that. And I would probably take the daily habit and weekly action approach for something that's more like the work-life balance thing. I think that would probably serve you better. All right. Feel free to ask more questions. I'll respond via chat just so that you guys can plan. I will start with 5 minutes and then I will check back in. All right, so let's do a bit of a check-in. Somebody asked what Power Sheets are and where you can get them. Power Sheets are a goal planning tool. I don't know if they're still available right now. They did a 6-month batch. They look like this. It's a pretty big book. I don't take it anywhere with me. But it's a very like intentional, how do I set goals? How do I keep them in front? Oh yeah. Crystal's got the white and gold 6-month copy. There are some 6-month copies. I can, on our next working session, I'll see if I can find a link for you. And then Cindy asked, Catherine, do you have a favorite app for your phone for calendar and reminders? Guys, I'm so old school. I use the actual calendar app that comes with my iPhone. That is it. I use the actual mail app that comes on my iPhone. I have how many accounts? I have 6 of my accounts that are linked, and I just use that. I don't use anything fancy. However, I use I use my digital calendar pretty ruthlessly, but I use Trello. I organize everything on Trello. And so Trello has an app version that's on my phone, so I reference it all the time. And so that's what I use. So Mary said, well, planning this out, I think it's just going to have to be nailing down my pricing only instead of pricing and processes. There's way more work for pricing than I realized. Until I've mapped this out. And if I'm 2Xing, should really be 4X. I hear you on that. I will definitely run out of time while doing all of the wedding bookings. I have to say, this is an example of why we plan. Because what happens is so many times we don't get started on projects because they seem too big. But once we break them down, sometimes they can feel overwhelming. So if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, just take a big deep breath. It is all going to be okay. Because what happens is when we focus and get really clear and realize, okay, as I block this out into the time I have available, this is going to take me a long time. And that is okay. Like sometimes that happens. But I love the fact that you're 2Xing it and you're taking into account the other things that you have to do. And so that's really important. So even as I didn't get very far, but I was starting to look through my major top priority for Modern Planner for July and looking at my calendar. And I was like, okay, so I want to get all of that done first. But my first 2 weeks of July, I have really spotty childcare. So when am I going to do that so that the second half of the month, I can work on these other things that I want to? And so it's a little trickier than I anticipated. And that is sometimes what happens. So don't be discouraged. Just know that if you focus on that one thing and you keep moving that one thing forward, you will finish it. And there is an end in sight. All right. So what we want to do now is I want to just give you 1 minute. I'm not going to set a timer. Just go ahead and do this. Whatever your project is, I want you to see if you could make a daily habit or weekly action that supports it. So some of you, that might be all that you did. Totally fine. Don't worry about adding any more. But some of you might have something that you want to do every day. So maybe it's you're going to send 3 emails every day, or you're going to do 2 cold calls every day, or you're going to go to 1 in-person networking event to try to connect with your ideal client or to connect with investors every week. And so I want you to look at your project and see if there's a way that you can build in a daily habit or a daily action. So for example, one of mine is I am really determined that by the end of August, I want to have all of my content for the quarterly done until the end of November. So in 2 months, I'm going to create 4 months worth of content so that then I can focus on a couple other projects that I have and stuff like that. So one of my daily habits on days I have childcare will be to spend 1 hour every day that I have childcare in the month of July creating my content so that I get at least August done and September done in July. Once it's recorded, then I'm actually going to leave it. So until both of them are recorded and everything's done for it, I'm going to spend at least 1 hour of every workday. Now, ultimately, I'm going to probably spend 2 to 3 hours most days until it's done, just because I want to batch it and get it finished, and it's my most important thing. So have a look at that. If you've got a daily habit that you are implementing this month, throw it in the chat. So that way we can see what it is, because sometimes you guys are so creative with what you do and how you bring things on. I love it. We're still recording. Let me read some. Kiana said, I should try time blocking the day before. I hardly stick to a schedule when I plan farther out. Yeah. And this is one of the things that Kiana has learned about herself is that if she does the same, she can't do the same thing too many days in a row. So she kind of creates a schedule for like 1 week, max, maybe 2, and then she switches it up because that's what she needs. And so, yes. So what I mentioned, Tiana, is most people were creating like a project plan. So what I want you to do is if you created a project plan, think of a way that you could build a daily habit in to support that project. If you were just looking at daily habits and weekly actions, then there's nothing extra for you to do right now. That's what I was just giving people like 1 minute for that. So Kate is saying bed by 10 p.m. Super creative, I know. But I noticed that one simple thing helps me get up early, do my morning routine, and have a productive day. Absolutely. Yes, that probably should be my daily habit too. We actually, for those of you that were in Q2, the roundtable replay, we talked about sleep for a good while, trying to give each other ideas and talking about eye masks. And anyway, Amber, 1 hour a day to work on client systems, and then documenting 1 process per week to contribute towards my operation manual that I'm now going to be creating. Perfect. I love it. Okay, Tiana, one of mine is I need to stop working first thing when I wake up. I just need to stay up later for the things I need to get done. Ooh, once you start, it's really hard to stop. Nice. So starting your day with family time and then deciding when you're going to be doing work. I love it. Kiana is going to bed too. And Kate, and I'm buying a sleep mask. That's so awesome. Anyway. Okay. So, Haley, I'm using your idea of starting my day with moving forward with my goal plan. With my main goal, I've added it to my daily Trello boards that I'll work on my instructor program schedule work back checklist first, not check email. Yes, I love it. That is such a good idea. And I don't always do well with that on Mondays because I feel like after the weekend, I want to make sure I didn't miss things in the Facebook group, but I just need to start even on Mondays by doing my most important task and have it blocked in to my calendar. Sleep goals, Kate. I know, sleep, guys, it's so important. And email is so easy to get it sucked into. So I know that it's a very popular thing to have specific times set for email. I don't find that that's supporting me in this season so much, but I just think I need to give it another shot. But what a lot of people who are super productive do is they schedule out their days and when they're going to check email. I think because when you've got limited childcare and your days change and your nanny's sick or whatever, something falls through, you have to be a bit more flexible. But so having like a time at 11 and 2 for 30 minutes blocked in to have and do email and that be it. So that is one way that you could really, have a specific time to check it. Take it off your phone for sure, Mary. That's one of the reasons, like, I haven't had the Facebook app on my phone for like over almost 3 years now. And it's amazing. It's so amazing. Although now I'm starting to think I need to take Instagram off my phone too. Tiana got the Stay Focused app and it's amazing. It blocks emails on my phone during certain hours. You guys, that's so good. Oh, you use the app for Instagram too. Okay. I like this app already. That's a really great way to do it. And I think it would especially, like, I'd actually have it to end at a certain time at night so that I can't go on Instagram past like 9 p.m. because that's when it's the worst for me. I can take 5 minutes and like during the day and like go on Instagram and whatever, but it's at night when I'm tired, I've done everything. Okay. Stay Focused app. Now that we're all going to go look at that, but not right now, not right now. You're not going to go look at it right now. Write it down on your list and say, Stay Focused app, download and start using. But do not go download it right now because we are still planning the month. We are not finished. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at this plan that you just did. We're going to put it in your calendar. Okay, so, okay, question is, where is the Stay Focused app in like the app store that you would just get on your iPhone if we just search Stay Focused? Yes. Okay. That's where it is, everybody. Megan just confessed. She said, I was up till almost 1 a.m. in an Instagram vortex. So not good. And now there's Instagram TV. Guys, what are we supposed to do? They're making this worse. And actually stories, because I can just sit and watch stories and they just keep coming. They never stop. Anyway. Oh, I didn't see Megan's guilty face. I missed that. Totally missed that, but that's awesome. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this project, take these priorities, these deadlines, this timeline, and I want you to put it in your calendar. So what you need to think about is like the time blocks when you're going to work on this project. So you actually need to open your calendar and physically, I mean, as physically as you can with a mouse, but you guys understand what I mean. Like, say from this time to this time, I'm working on this project. From this time to this time on this day, I'm working on it. From this time to this time, and like put it in, and the deadlines that you have for your project, say, oh, can I get this phase done in a week? Because as you start putting those time blocks in, now you're going to be like, oh, I don't have enough time that week. Okay, maybe I need to move that priority. Or you'll say, no, it's really important to get this done by this date. I'm going to find more time. So maybe that means for some of us mamas, finding a child's helper, getting a teenager to come over for like an extra half day every week in July so we can get this project done. Okay, so whatever it is and whatever it looks like for you, I want you to put that project in your calendar. If it was personal, I want you to go in and every Saturday from 10 till 6, block family time or whenever you've decided you're going to do that. Okay, does that make sense? Are there any questions about this part? Because sometimes this gets tricky when people are like, but I don't understand. The other thing too is to put your deadlines in your calendar. So if you've said by like the middle of July, you want to have something done, put that in as like a task that will pop up that will remind you, like, get this done or submit this. Okay, there's no questions. I'm going to start a timer and give you guys, I'll give you 5 minutes because this can take a while to build out, and I'll try to keep an eye on the chat too. Okay? I should just mention really quickly, guys, if a daily habit is something you're wanting to do, if you can do it at the same time every day, just set a reoccurring reminder. So make it reoccurring in your calendar. So from 9 till 10 and make it custom every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Put it in from 9 till 10, whatever that is, and make it reoccurring. And then what you can just do is delete it on the days that you already have something else planned or you're going out or whatever. That's a really great way to, if you can, do something reoccurring. I can't right now in this season very often until Em's childcare is more consistent. That doesn't work for me, but that's a really great way to make sure that you're making regular progress. All right, so that's our few minutes. I want to just spend a minute because Amber said, I have a lot of trouble with the daily repetitive tasks. I find I tend to ignore them or push them off if something more important comes up or if I'm not in the mood. Any suggestions for sticking to them? I think I mentioned this on every quarterly planning or on every planning party. And so for those of you that have been around, I would love for you to pop your answer in the chat, like for those of you that have been doing planning parties for a while. Kate's coming up on a year. Haley and Megan are like almost like 10 months. Anyway, this is what I'm going to say. And I will say this a lot. If you have an appointment set with your doctor, you go. Something more important doesn't come up, right? If you've got coffee booked with a friend that you haven't seen for a while, you keep that appointment. Nothing more important comes up. But this is what happens. And I am guilty of it too. But when we have appointments set with ourselves, why do we feel like more important things can come up? Why? Do other things become more important than our appointment with ourselves? For some reason, we don't make this justification when we have appointments scheduled with anyone else. If we've got an online chat, we've got a live training call, we've got a networking event, we've got whatever it is, but as soon as it's a commitment we've made to ourselves, somehow we allow that to take backseat. So all I really can say is there's a couple different things. The first one is, are the things that you're trying to do every day, are they really, really important to you? Because if they're not really, really important to you, then maybe you just need to like take them off. Like if they're like pity tasks that, oh, well, you're supposed to have a health and fitness goal every day, so I should have this as part of my routine. But if it's not important to you, then it's not important to you. So for instance, I have a reading goal, but I also have a walking goal. I walk almost every day outside. Because for me, getting outside and getting in the fresh air trumps sitting and reading in a book every day. So I've actually taken reading off my daily list because I was like, well, it's not going to happen every day. What I need to do is put that on something weekly where it's like, I'm going to sit and read for an hour with a cup of tea every weekend. Find a time, or as many as I can. So that's one example, is some things maybe aren't really that truly that important to you. And then the other thing is to just think about, like, are you self-sabotaging because you don't think you're worth making progress on those goals? Because I know that's my challenge sometimes, is I realize like, oh, well, I'm not worth it. But why am I so tired and pushing those things off? Well, because I didn't go to bed in time last night. Well, I could have. There was no excuse. So I'm self-sabotaging myself and not doing the things I want to do because for some reason last night I wanted to just stay up and do whatever. And so Lisa Canning on our guest expert call in the month of June, she made the comment, when in the moment, ask the question, what would my future self want me to do? So I'm trying to ask myself this question, and I've been getting to bed a little bit earlier. But in this moment, what would my future self want me to do? Would she want me to get up and do my morning routine, or would she want me to like be lazy and sleep in and like look at Instagram while I try to get my eyes actually open? Right? Oh, literally, Haley just typed that out as I started saying it. Deciding what's daily versus weekly, I think that's a big part of it. These things that are daily tasks, do they really need to get done every day, or can we focus on doing them once or twice a week? Haley just made the comment about what I did. And then Kate, I try to do those daily tasks when I have the right energy for it. So this whole energy conversation was April's theme of scheduling, where we actually did like energy audits for all the different tasks that we do. So Kate gives an example. I'm better with deep work and strategy stuff in the morning and more mindless things like meal prep in the evenings. And I try not to introduce more than one habit at once. Also a very important thing to remember. I don't introduce a 6-part morning routine. I start with read for 30 minutes. Once I've done that for at least a few weeks, then I add the second thing into that. Brilliant points, great perspectives. Yes to all of it. So hopefully that is helpful. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to take a few minutes and work chronologically through our calendar. So I want you to grab your digital calendar. This is the part where business and personal all get mixed in, but it's really, really, really important to do this. So I'm just going to give you 5 minutes to get started. And what you want to do is you want to start with July 1st. Now, some of you might want to start with tomorrow and then work your way to July. The reason why the planning party is not on the 29th is because I always like to have at least 3 days before the month starts. And the 29th is just too close to July 1st for my comfort. So work day by day and look at, is everything in your calendar confirmed? Is everything that you have jotted down on a piece of paper actually in your electronic calendar? Do your appointments match up? What are the things that you need to do for the things in your calendar? Okay, so I will set a timer for 5 minutes. Let's start on July 1st. And we're just going to work our way through confirming things. And then what you can also do is write a list, keep a list of the things that you need to confirm. Maybe you need to talk to somebody about an event or confirm with somebody. Just jot down all the things you need to confirm so that after this call, you can follow up with all of those things. Okay, here we go. All right, so what I would love for you to do is to pop the date that you got up to. So maybe you made it to July 4th. Maybe you made it to the 13th. How far you got chronologically. Now, some of you might have had a lot more work to do every day, but type it in the chat. Let me know the date. And then we are going to do just a couple little wrap-up homework pieces before we go. So tell me how far you got in the chat. Megan made it to the 14th. Nice. The 13th. Sweet. July 6th. Awesome. So good, guys. The 19th. All right, Tiana added all of her daily habits to her to-do list. Sweet. Mary, I think I missed what we were actually doing. That's okay. What we were doing is going through syncing your calendars, going day by day, making sure that things are confirmed. So like I have a whole list of things. July 2nd, work, question mark. Then July 4th, Thinkific event, question mark. Like I have listed these things and it's like, we need to confirm. What are we going to do on these dates? And then plan stuff. So yeah, only to the 4th, more kid drama. Oh girl, it's all good. Mary got the whole month done. Woohoo! I did a quick view through my whole month too. Amber didn't get to a specific date, but got my dates in for my client systems work, which is awesome. And Kiana, I've got to watch the replay Saturday at 12. Nice. All right, so this is what you're gonna do now. If, by the way, if you have Power Sheets, this is your friendly reminder to block in an hour at some point in the next week to work on your Q3 goal refresh. So there's a few pages before July pops up where it has the goal refresh. It gives you this page. And then there's also your refresh where you can look at the goals that you set at the beginning of the year and decide if they're still what you want to do. And your July pages to create your tending list. Friendly reminder, mark some time to do that. Now, for all of us, this is what I want you to do, is open up your calendar, because you most likely didn't get either through your whole calendar or all the things blocked into your schedule, or maybe you didn't get your full plan completed. And that is totally okay, but you've got most of it, okay? And so now what I want you to do is open up your calendar and find a time when you're gonna finish July. So for me, first, I need some time to sit down with my husband and look at all of these different dates and make decisions on what we're doing so I can finalize stuff and then fill out the calendar a little bit more. So that's one piece of it for me. The other piece is I want to sit down for an hour by myself sometime, not on the weekend, sometime early next week to do my power sheets. So that's a separate thing that I don't want to do those two things together. So I actually am going to block an hour with my husband on the weekend and an hour to do power sheets on Monday. And then I also have I'm just giving you examples of how I use this as like reminders to finish things. I also have, let me open it up. Next week, I have a little gap between a couple client calls. And so I am going to finish my July plan, and I'm going to do that on Friday the 29th. And that's my business, like my modern planner plan. So I actually have 3 different ways that I'm following up to finish my July planning. One is booking a meeting with my husband to book our personal stuff. The other one is an hour of power sheets. And the other one is an hour to finalize my July planning for my business. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. My July planning is happening on June 29th at noon. So once you've got it booked in your calendar, when you're going to finish it, put the date in the chat. This is our accountability. Megan, Wednesday, June 27th. Nice. I am blocking power sheets in on Monday the 25th. No, that's not a good idea. I'm working that day. I'm going to have to clean my kitchen that night after a birthday party. All right. We've got Friday the 29th during nap time, Monday, June 25th at 1, Thursday, June 28th at 3. See, you guys have got this down. And this is what happens. We put it down as an appointment. And because we love ourselves and we know that planning has the power to change our lives, and when we keep our commitments with ourselves, which is just as important as our commitments with other people, amazing things happen. And so I love that you guys all have this in. 25th at 2, 28th at 12, 29th from 3 till 5. So good. All right. So here's what we're going to do. It's 3:30. My goal is always to keep the planning parties to an hour and a half for the actual planning. But if there are questions, Q&A, then I would love to be able to take a couple minutes and answer those. So just throw me a note in the chat that says, I have a question, and then we will go from there. Tiana has a question. So for anyone new who's watching the replay, no, you've not missed a link for the Facebook group. Because we have a current group coming, I just do an overlap of 1 week. So on Monday morning, if you're brand new to the quarterly, you're going to get an email with a link to the Facebook group with the link to the Facebook group with all the dates for the upcoming calls and all of those kinds of things. So all the full details are coming on Monday, and then we've got 1 week of overlap, and then we get started on July 2nd with your first training. So, all right. Bye, Tamara. Thank you for joining in. Have a great rest of your day. So hopefully that answers your question, Tiana. I've just heard so many amazing things about this group. I love it. I don't know where you've heard all these amazing things, but it is amazing. It's such a supportive community. I'm hoping, yeah, it's incredible. Right, girls? All the girls that are currently in. I'm just trying to find. Okay, here is the name. Somebody, for everyone asking or who wants to go look it up right now, I just listed the app name again. Stay Focused App Block. Now you may go and look for it and install it on your phone because our call is officially over. Amber says, I don't have power sheets. Would you suggest investing in them? It's a good question. They have 6-month sets, which if you're going to do it, you'd want to order them right away so you can start using them in July, which I would recommend. And they are sold out. Okay, we just looked. They sell out so fast. So here's what I do. When I'm an affiliate for Cultivate What Matters and for Power Sheets, because I love them, and I was like, I will always share them, so I might as well do that. So I get advance notice when they're being launched, and so that I can promote it right away. They sell out fast. So anyway, their 6-month ones are gone, but I would think go through, do the planning stuff, have your wedding, which is an amazing thing. And then when they launch in like October or November for 2019, if you still think it would be a good idea, then do that. And if you ever want to like jump on a call with somebody, so many people in this group use Power Sheets. Crystal, Haley, Kate. Oh no, Kate doesn't use them. Sorry. And you just literally posted, do I have any videos or blog posts for how I use them? I don't. But you know what? That's a really good idea for me. P.S. If you have a question now, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask it. We just can chat now. And I'm gonna make it more like gallery view. So yes, I should do a YouTube video on how I use Power Sheets because I think that would be a good idea. So I'm just going to make a little note of that. Because it would be a great resource then if people do ask me, because I do get asked all the time because I think it's a really great product. Cindy says, I'm so super motivated from this training. Yes, that is the goal. That is the point, that you're like, okay, I'm going to go and kick some butt and do this. The other thing to remember is don't be too hard on yourself, especially if you're just getting started. I think I can speak for all the girls, and if you guys want to jump in on this, all the girls that have been doing planning parties for like months with me, is it gets easier and it gets less overwhelming and you have more grace for yourself. So do any of you want to speak to this? Just do it. We got to encourage these girls. Oh, unmute yourself. Say something. They need to hear your voice right now, girls.
It's been almost a year that I've been doing this. How long have I been doing this?
Yeah. You've been doing planning parties with me for almost a full year.
A long time. Very overwhelming, and I'm definitely a perfectionist. So I want to do like everything perfectly. So then I want to implement everything all at once. And I'm like, great, I'm going to overhaul my schedule. I'm going to do all this and all this and all this. And I just completely overwhelmed myself the first couple times and like overscheduled myself and thought I was making it way too complicated for myself. And I've noticed, and I think he even said this on one of the other calls, that even just starting to write down priorities and acknowledge priorities is huge. And now I go back and I review my old months, even from 6 months ago. And I'm like, hey, I've already made so many steps towards this goal without really thinking about it because it's just been like consciously in my mind. So even if you're completely overwhelmed, the fact that you're here and you've even thought of like, hey, these might be the 3 things I want to look at this month, like that's such a huge thing. And you'll notice the payoff from that a couple months from now. Even if right now you're like, I don't have a damn clue how I'm going to accomplish these things. The fact that you've started to think about it is like,
yes,
that's the good stuff. Yeah.
So true. And I think the thing to remember is why you're doing what you're doing. Like, what is the point? You know what I mean? Like, why are you running your business? Why are you doing these things? so that you have flexibility, if you're working in your career because you're able to impact lives. Like I know Crystal could just like go off on why she does, and why she works where she does. So regardless of what you're doing, like why are you doing it? What is motivating you? And the other thing to remember is what is motivating you to make these changes. So even though it feels overwhelming right now at the beginning, as you're starting this planning process and as you're starting to think more ahead and stuff, just remember, and I say this a lot, especially when we talk about schedule stuff, which isn't one of our topics for this quarter. So we'll just talk about this right now. If someone comes to me, because I used to have a one-on-one scheduling program and it was like a course and a one-on-one stuff, and people would enter that course and program and want to, in 2 weeks, be able to snap their fingers and have a completely new schedule. And this is what I have to say. You did not get this schedule in 2 weeks. You cannot reverse your schedule in 2 weeks. Okay? When it comes to our health, you did not get to this state of unflexibility, immobility, weight gain, whatever it might be with your health in a month. So why do we think we can reverse those things in a month? Okay? So this is where we have to be so beyond gracious with ourselves and realize you're on the right path. That's like half the battle right there, is you've acknowledged that you've got a challenge, you've had issues with planning, that whatever, that you need to have more of a plan, things built out, and now you're on the path. It does not matter how fast you move on this path. You're on it. You are moving in the right direction. And that's the important thing to remember when it comes to planning, because especially if you are a real, true, spontaneous creative, this might feel really restricting at the beginning. Like, oh, but I have to do something like this every single day. And here's the thing to remember. There is so much freedom that comes with planning. So the opposite of what you think is true is actually true. It might feel restrictive, but actually, as you get into this and as you realize like, oh, well, I don't have to think about this project right now because I'm not working on it till August. It gives your brain this freedom because, so for some of you, for instance, let's use Amber, your example of your systems, but then your website. So now that you've decided systems is your priority in July, I am giving you permission to not think about your website at all this month. Like not at all. Put it on a list, know that you're going to look at it in August or September, and then don't think about it. Because you don't need to. Because you have a plan, you know what's most important, you're working on it now, and you'll get to that when you have decided you're going to get to it. Don't let these little things like hang out, because this is what happens is when we've got that plan, now the weight of your website can be lifted. And now you don't need to think about it, and you don't need to be stressed when another week goes by and you haven't made progress because it's not your priority right now. So you don't have to think about it. So that's just an example of how this works and how, even though sometimes it feels restricting at the beginning, as we get into this, the weight can really, really lift. Kiana says it took me 15 years to gain 75 pounds. It's taken me a year and a half to lose 30. Yeah. Like, this is the thing. It takes time. These things in our life take time. It was, for me, 25 years of unhealthy habits, workaholic tendencies, being a perfectionist. And it took me about 5 or 6 years, a lot of therapy and a lot of personal development and a lot of money and a lot of major, massive life changes, like quitting my job of 8 years and having no income and putting my health first, for me to see the result of that decision I made at 25 to say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired and depressed and in constant pain, and I'm making a change. But it took me about 5 years to complete that journey out. So no, it didn't take me 25 to reverse it, but I was like full on, like, get out of my way, I am making this happen. You know what I mean? With that life change. And so it was a big journey. So don't give up. Don't feel overwhelmed. Once you are in the Facebook group on Monday, ask for help. When you are stuck, when you are dealing with a challenge, when you are trying to plan something and you're not having any luck, or you don't know what to do, or you're like, guys, I've been trying this thing at this time of day, any ideas? Because especially the girls that have been doing this for like months and months and months, as you get more comfortable, you have way more ideas and you test stuff out. And also, I'm just going to brag on Kate for a minute because Kate took the energy audit, the activities, the scheduling stuff like so seriously. And I swear you have tested almost everything. And I've tested a lot of things for me. Although in this season of motherhood, I've not been testing a whole lot. I've just been like, the things I know work, I've been using them, and then I've been just getting by. I'm definitely not as strategic in this last year as I've been previously. But there's a lot of wisdom, a lot of ideas, a lot of people that have been where you are. So as you're planning, as you're going through your month, ask for help. Okay. That is what the Facebook group is for. Okay. So that's my little, you've got this, girl. That's also the way I encourage people the most in the Facebook group, I've realized, is you've got this, girl, or you've got this. It's like my thing, because you've got it. You can do it. You can do anything you want. You just can't do everything. I'll leave you with that. Okay? You can do anything. I love that our culture says you can be anything, do anything. You can, but you can't be and do everything. You still have to choose what those anythings are going to be. So you can be a Pinterest mom, but you probably can't be a Pinterest mom and work a full-time job with 4 children and have a side hustle and be healthy and date your husband. And you know what I mean? Like, you can choose, but we have to choose usually. We can't just do everything 100%. And that was a lie, I believe, for years. Well, but I have to give my best to every area of my life. Well, guys, I had too many areas. I had to chop off areas and be like, sorry, you don't belong in my life anymore. You are no longer considered a part of my life. Not people, but like areas of my life. I was like, yeah, no, this doesn't matter. So you've got this. You can do this. All right. I think I caught everything. There were lots of comments, but I don't think there was any more specific questions. I'm going to let you guys go because we've gone over, but I think that having time for some of those questions was really important. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy planning. Just so you guys know, every Monday we have a fun factor little post where it's like, tell us something relaxing, energizing, fun that you did. So I'm telling you that now so that you can make sure you do something fun on the weekend so that you have something to post about. So you're getting pre-warning. All right. You guys are awesome. Have an amazing weekend, and we will talk